Okay, as part of tonight's induction banquet, the Centennial instructor, who is actually here, Jacob Lewis, could you please stand up? And his digital media team classes have provided a video for the GPSA 50 years of service. So when it gets done, make sure that we give him a round of applause for their work. But Jacob is actually here. Before we view the video, we have two surviving members of the very first steering committee called the Pueblo Sports Booster Club of 1972 present. The first surviving member of the committee is Dave Perkins. He's the GPSA inductee class of 2017. And Dave would like to introduce the other surviving member present this evening because he's also a very special gentleman as well. So Dave, you could have a couple seconds.
Thank you, Jared. It's my pleasure and a privilege to introduce the other surviving member of the original steering committee from 1972, myself and one other. You might wonder, how does that work? Well, I was a young guy out of college, just graduated, working at the Chamber of Commerce in Pueblo. Part of my job was to take minutes at the meetings of all the committees. One of the committees was the Pueblo Sports Boosters Club. So, along with 5 others, I was one of 6 in that committee. And then one of my mentors is who I'm about to introduce. He was inducted into the GPSA Hall of Fame in 1978 in all 3 categories, as a coach, a contributor, and a fine athlete as well. His daughter and son-in-law, Karen and Dave Alexander, are with us tonight. They were kind enough to bring him to be with us this evening. So I want to thank you guys for doing that. And needless to say, he was a mentor of mine and still is, and was an instructor of mine in high school. So blame him if I'm not too smart. Anyway, please join me in a round of applause and thanks for 50 years of service for Mr. Bob Trebethick.
Okay, I don't know if we can give the license a little bit. I don't remember if they can do that. But as soon as we do figure that out, we can maybe... Oh, there we go. Okay, at this time, John, could you start the video?
Well, while we're waiting on some technical issues, we'll just start our program and see if we can't get that video back up for later for y'all tonight. For those that don't know, I'm Miles Gorham. I'm the Vice President of the GPSA Association. It's my privilege to start our high school McCartney Awards. So just to give you a little background about the McCartney Awards and Brian himself, Brian McCartney was a longtime administrator in the Pueblo City Schools and a staunch advocate for high school athletics. The Brian McCartney Award is given annually to the most outstanding senior male and female athlete of the Pueblo area. In attendance tonight is his daughter, Ann McCartney, and she will please stand and be recognized. To kind of kick us right in, the 2022 female recipient of the Brian McCartney Award is Leah Martinez of Pueblo East High School. If she can please come up. And as she makes her way up here, I'll kind of give you a brief synopsis of what she was able to accomplish. Leah excelled in 3 sports at Pueblo East High School: soccer, swimming, and diving, as well as track and field. She received 7 varsity letters in those respective sports and multiple academic letters. She was an exceptional hurdler and sprinter, and currently holds a record in the 100-meter hurdles at 14.89 seconds, the 300-meter hurdles at 44.98, and the 200-meter dash at 25.8 seconds. Most of all, she's a great student athlete, being a member of the National Honor Society, a DECA state champion and national qualifier, as well as graduating with a cumulative GPA above 4.0. So let's give another round of applause for Leah Martinez, 2022 female. So now on to the male. The 2022 male recipient is Xavier Freeman, also of Pueblo East High School. Xavier also excelled in many sports at Pueblo East, receiving 13 varsity letters as well as 7 academic letters. In football, Xavier was a SCL two-time defensive MVP. He led the state in tackles for a loss as a senior. and was a second team all-state selection as well as a senior. His best finish in track and field were second place finish in the shot and a fourth place in the disc. Xavier was also a 4-year state qualifier in wrestling. He was a member of a state runner-up team, a member of 2 state championship teams, and as well a 2-time individual champion at 182 and 220 pounds. Xavier was also a great student in the classroom, graduating with a GPA of 4.19. Let's give another round of applause for Xavier. So it looks like we've got the video paired up, so we'll get to that, and then I'll be back up to do the solid gospel order.
For the past 50 years, since 1973, the Greater Pueblo Sports Association has served the Pueblo community by promoting all sports in the city and county of Pueblo, Colorado, at the same time as providing a greater awareness among Puebloans of the many sports and activities available throughout the city. This awareness has been achieved through the GPSA's recognition of the outstanding efforts of participants and contributors to those sports through the establishment of a Hall of Fame and the granting of several other special awards each year. This is the story of the Greater Pueblo Sports Association.
Actually, 50 years ago, longer than 50 years ago, in the summer of 1972, there was a group formed in Pueblo called the Pueblo Sports Boosters Club, and they decided to become a committee of the Chamber of Commerce. Anyhow, the original steering committee for that Sports Boosters Club was composed of Brian McCartney, of course from Centennial, and Sully Rosso, Ernie Bellotti, Bob Trevithick, Lauren Kilstoft, and myself. The original concept was to recognize some local sports heroes and their accomplishments, and somewhere along the line it got suggested that we create a Pueblo Hall of Fame.
First Hall of Fame, as the name came out in September of 1972. That was the official name that was established as the Greater Pueblo Sports Hall of Fame.
The first banquet was held in the fall of the following year, 1973. Some financial institutions around Pueblo and many other people got involved. Sam Jones, of course, from Sam Jones Agency, and the DeRose family, Mike Salardino, Dave Socher, Lee Douglas, Coy Frakes, Sam Pashada, and many other people in the community who wanted to help produce and promote sports in our city, because that was one of the things for which Pueblo has always been known to produce. Well, initially, the first year, the first group of inductees were primarily people that had excelled just as athletes. And then it expanded to, as I mentioned, contributors that had promoted sports in Pueblo. And of course, the Hall of Fame came about, and it got to be a bigger thing than just talking about a small group of athletes that we needed to recognize.
We have a lot of individuals that are honorees that have been inducted through the Hall of Fame, and each one has been well qualified. There's no one particular individual that we hold out. There are some noted celebrities, of course, and some of them that you might know such as Earl Dutch Clark, and Salardino, and Hoy Frakes, and Bob Trevithick.
And of course, Dutch Clark, being one of the first inductees, this was at a time that was before Public School Stadium had its name changed to Dutch Clark Stadium. So that became an additional recognition of probably the most famous athlete from Pueblo, and that would be Earl Dutch Clark. The enthusiasm just really set the tone for the next 50 years. And here we are down the road 50 years hence, and unfortunately the only original members of the steering committee that are left alive are myself and Bob Trevithick, who was a teacher, an athlete, and activities director at Central High. And I want to pay tribute to Bob Trevithick for also being part of that surviving twosome now of the original steering committee.
Since the first induction class, the GPSA has continued to grow, boasting 370 members to date. The biggest question that remained after that first induction banquet was where were all of the individuals who were inducted to the new Hall of Fame going to be enshrined after they were honored at the annual induction banquet each November.
The inductees are now our house, and once again, with our partnership with the Colorado State University, our Hall of Fame room is at the Masari Gym there at the college. So we have a room up there, but with 370 inductees, we've outgrown that room. And now, with the partnership with the Thatcher Building, Louis Carlero, the Thatcher Building, he's given us another place to house our inductees. So if you go through the Thatcher Building, you'll see actually our very first inductees are in there. And every year we'll move a group over to the Thatcher Building and then put the new inductees for this year into the Hall of Fame room.
Each year, at the annual GPSA induction banquet that happens on the third Wednesday of November, along with inducting a new class to the Hall of Fame, the GPSA grants several special awards to other individuals in the Pueblo sports scene.
Then we give two high school athletic awards, the Brian McCartney Award, which is a male and female best athlete in the community. So all activities directors put in the applications for their high schools, and that's all of our community, including my Dolores work, our 4 high schools in Pueblo West. So those all put in their applications, and at that time we pick a Brian McCartney Award winner. His daughter, Ann McCartney, usually attends the banquet on their behalf, of their family, to support that particular award.
Because of the GPSA's partnership with Colorado State University Pueblo, they also recognize the top female and male scholar athlete through the Jesse Banks Award, named for the pioneer in women's sports who founded the basketball program at CSUP and served as the head coach for many years, and the Spade Blazing Award, named after the longtime coach and administrator at the university that launched the men's track and cross-country programs during his tenure.
Probably our newest award that we started providing is the Solid Rosso Award. It's probably only been going on the last 7 or 8 years. And Pueblo West, first of all, pretty much dominated that the last 5 years. But this last year, Pueblo South won that award. So we also look at it as a team award or a school award for the, having the most teams with competing and representing our community.
I was inducted in the Greater Pueblo Sports Hall of Fame in 1989.
It's an honor to be a member. I remember getting a phone call telling me I had been elected, and I was speechless, which was unusual for me.
Getting that call from one of my past head coaches, Fred Rodriguez, was a pretty special call because finding out you're part of the Greater Pueblo Sports Association, it kind of is the Hall of Fame of Hall of Fames in our community. So it's really an awesome feeling to be nominated and then to be selected.
It's an honor to be able to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. Maybe one of the new inductees will come to feel that they are in with a certain group of people that have represented themselves.
But it's truly an honor to be recognized by your peers, whether you were an athlete, a coach, or a contributor, and just being part of Pueblo sports history makes you feel very special, and I know that's the case for me.
You're in there with, I mean, you know, when you can be inducted with guys like Dutch Clark and Fred Rodriguez and you know, Jim Green is one of my head coaches, and you're kind of in that whole little group of, not little, I mean, there's 370 of us, but over 50 years, maybe that's an average of 6 or 7 people, or more, you know, through the years. So you're in a select group, and to be a part of that, I know that every inductee that gets inducted it just feels like it's one of the best honors that you can have.
With 50 years of history in the books for the GPSA, the community should be excited for what the next 50 years of inductees and moments in Pueblo sports will look like.
Well, the outlook and the future of the GPSA is going to fall on other inductees that come in and want to be a part of something as special as the Greater Pueblo Sports Association.
We've added some new members, and that's great. We like to have younger, new blood, obviously, come into the picture because the future of the GPSA really depends on a lot of young folks taking over for those of us who have been around a while.
So in the last 2 years, we've tried to be a little bit progressive in creating some current things like Twitter and Facebook, and trying to get our brand or our idea across to the community as well as everybody that's interested in this particular thing. I'm a big thinker as far as hoping that someday we can maybe have our own GPSA building or room where all our inductees could be housed, where we could possibly bring our high school students, elementary students in and interact with, you know, some of the inductees and what they were about. It's probably going to be their grandparents, aunts, uncles, and they're all going to be a part of something with dealing with Pueblo. So there's a lot that can be done. It's, you know, we're probably just scratching the surface of what we try to provide. We kept it pretty simple, where we are recognizing people that have done a lot for our community, and so from there we'd like to maybe have our younger people come in and get a chance to see what the Greater Pueblo Sports Association is all about.
On behalf of the entire Pueblo community, it is our honor to wish the Greater Pueblo Sports Association and its members a heartfelt congratulations on 50 years of history, and we wish the GPSA luck in its next 50 years of telling the story of sports in Pueblo.
Jacob, could you please stand? This is part of his production in his class. So thank you very much, Jacob, for doing such a fine presentation on behalf of the Greater Pueblo Sports Association.
continue our program. Now it's my pleasure to announce the Solly Rosso Award. So the Solly Rosso Award is awarded to a local high school, including all District 1670 schools, including Rye, DHPH, any charters involved. That has the overall greatest team success as a school. This year's recipients sent their respective teams to state in boys and girls cross country, football, softball, spirit, girls basketball, wrestling, boys and girls track and field. They were state runner-up in boys basketball and the state champion in unified bowling. The 2021 and 2022 recipient is Pueblo South High School. Here to accept the award tonight is Athletic Director Jared Schweckert and Principal Mike Kovac.
Thank you.
One more round of applause. Now it's my privilege to recognize the Spank Blazing and Jesse Banks Award recipients. These awards are given to recognize the top male and female scholar athletes at Colorado State University Pueblo. The 2022 Spank Blazing Award recipient is Ty Lewis, a member of the CSU Pueblo baseball program, and here to accept the award on his behalf is head baseball coach Bobby Applegate.
Very good. All right, I just wanted to speak on Ty's behalf. What a great evening to be in front of you all tonight. Congratulations, all the recipients. What a great honor. This community has been blessed not only by great athletes, but by great supporters, by great coaches, families, and fans, and a big part of our young athletes' journey. There is a great support system in this community with our talented athletes. In our great support system, it's no surprise these athletes have been recognized for their hard work and dedication to their craft. Tonight, I'm honored to receive this Spank Blazing Award on behalf of Ty Lewis, one of my players. Ty exemplified great characteristics of being a great teammate, great competitor. Ty was a leader among our offense and was a stellar defender. He was a big part of a really good season for us last year. Ty had the great opportunity to play at the next level, was picked up by the Pioneer League, signed with the Northern Colorado Owls, was later traded in the season to the Ogden Raptors, where he finished there. Ty looks forward to playing another season, and he's excited to see where that takes him. Right now, Ty will complete his education this spring semester and receive his degree in business management. After this opportunity of chasing down his dreams as a professional baseball player, Ty is looking at a profession in the fire department or EMT. I spoke with Ty and he's sorry he could not attend this evening, but he wanted to say thank you, congratulations to all the award winners for this evening, and a great thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Now for the 2022 Jesse Banks Award recipient is Candace Watts, a member of the CSU Pueblo women's basketball program. And here to accept the award on her behalf is CSU Pueblo head women's basketball coach Tommy Johnson.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate this. I wish Kansas could be here because she's a lot prettier than I am. So she was the epitome of a talented basketball player who sacrificed for our team to be great and be what we're surrounded with right now. It's super ironic that a lot of our team meetings take place in that Hall of Fame room. And so I grew up here as far as my coaching career. My wife's from Colorado Springs, so being able to go in there and see the people that have dedicated so much of their time and their resources and their time and money to growing the city of Pueblo and the University of Pueblo, it's amazing. So I wish Kansas was here again. She super athletic, top defensive player in the country, and right now she's living her best life, getting her master's in athletic training in California. She's on the beach every single day just about training, and I wish we had her here still, and I know her mom's going to be super proud of this award as well, and just wanted to tell you guys that because of you and people like Kansas and everything that you've done, it's been a blessing to be here, and we really appreciate everything that you guys do for us, and I know Kansas appreciates it. So thank you guys. Have a great night.
And now I'd like to bring Jerry Cisneros back up to go over the greatest moments of the 3 eras.
This started out as an idea with the Pueblo chieftain years ago by recognizing great moments in Pueblo athletics. And the whole idea behind it was to get a great moment and then keep advertising our banquet and letting people know about the banquet. That's kind of fallen off a little bit, but it still gets mentioned. And we still want to continue this tradition, even though it's not as publicized as like it used to be. We have 3 different eras, and in the first era, Jerry Kersey wins the Steinmark Award in 1980. And I don't think there's anybody here this evening in behalf of the Kersey family, am I correct? So that was the very, very first one. Mike Zaremba in era 2, Mike Zaremba wins the 1980 Colorado Open with a birdie on the final hole. So Mike was made aware of it, but he wasn't able to make it this evening. But in full force for the last greatest moments, and which just recently happened in 2016 and 2017, the Pueblo High School wrestling team wins back-to-back Colorado State Wrestling Championships. Pueblo County, there we go. So here we go. Good. Those 3 tables, I think they have like 3 tables here tonight. And Coach Eddie Soto and his staff and all the wrestlers, and could they please stand up? They are part of the back-to-back state championship team for Pueblo County. And many of the wrestlers are here tonight. Congratulations, Pueblo County, for back-to-back state titles. And if this Coach Laughlin has anything to say about it, they may be adding another back-to-back. They're defending state champions, so we may have another team representing us real soon as well in the future. Congratulations, all greatest moments teams and athletes.
We now ask all the GPSA class inductees to please exit for the grand entrance. All right. Our first inductee of the 2022 class, the Hall of Fame, is Robert Bobby Bonner. Our next inductee tonight is Richard Dick Hime. Here to accept the award on his behalf is his son, Walt Hime. Our next inductee is Cliff Laughlin. The next inductee in the 2022 class, Michael Beach Marcovecchio. Our next inductee, Marie Mass. And Jane Rhodes is here to accept the award on her behalf. Our next 2022 inductee, Mr. LeRoy Snook. And our final inductee, Mr. MC Michael Salardino. Can we get one more large round of applause for our 2022?
Well, here we go. We're going to be introducing all the inductees. I'm a little bit taller than Mike, so you might, no short jokes. I'm sorry, Mike. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Our first inductee that I'd like to introduce, if you guys can go ahead and sit down at this time. Our first inductee that will be speaking this evening, Bobby Bonner. Bobby might be called Mr. Softball because of his lifetime achievements as a player and coach. He also is a longtime football and basketball referee, but it is clearly for softball that he is being inducted. As a member of the traveling team from 1972 to 1985, Bob was repeatedly selected as MVP in tournaments around the state. His team also participated in International Softball Congress tournaments. During one stretch, his team won 6 consecutive state titles. Then in 2013, he returned to play in the ISC and USA 50 and over league and played in world tournaments. His team won the 50 and over tournament in 2018. In addition, Bob has been an outstanding coach, first in Milford, Ohio, then at Central, and now at East. Former Central coach Charles Bannon says of Bob, if you're looking for someone that has put in the work for Pueblo and has the character and qualities, look no further than Bob Bonner. Bob is already in the ASA Colorado Softball Hall of Fame and the Pueblo Softball Hall of Fame. Bob Bonner.
Okay, Jerry, thank you for the great introduction. Again, I'd like to thank the Pueblo Greater Sports Hall of Fame for this great honor. And I'd like to thank the people that are responsible to get me here. My wife, Nancy, Dave Dudley, Fred Espinoza, Charlie Manning, Mr. Blum for talking on my behalf. Also, I'd like to thank my parents. You know, they always supported me through everything I did through all the years. My family members that are here tonight, my wife Nancy, my daughters Michelle and Candace, my grandson Jace, my stepdaughter Mary, my brother-in-law John, and all the other families that are my family that couldn't make it tonight. To all my friends that are here tonight, thank you, and the ones that could not make it. Now, getting into my years, my officiating years, I need to thank all the officials I've worked with in both football and basketball, and a lot of those guys are sitting here today. I came in, I don't want to say that they were the older officials, a better word, they were veterans, and they kind of took me under their wing as football and third man in basketball. You guys, thank you for that. My coaching days, the softball, two people I want to thank, Charlie Manning, Fred Espinoza. These two guys gave me the opportunity to coach and teach the game of high school softball to the high school girls. I want to put a quick shout out to Carl Varela. He was my assistant coach last 3 years at East. He does a fantastic job, and he's an asset to the program. Run-in field, greatest job on earth. And I got to thank Dave Dudley and Charlie Manning for that. And then my playing days. I'd like to thank all the guys I played with and coaches. We were more than a team. We were more of a family. And we played against some of the best teams in the country and faced probably some of the best pitchers in the world. A couple of stories, and unfortunately there are 2 losses that I remember. In the ISC tournament, we played Saginaw, Michigan. 19 innings we went with them. We lose 1-0. This team went on to win the ISC World's Tournament. Another team, 7th Avenue Auto, we played down in Phoenix, ISC World's Tournament. We went 14 innings with them, and they beat us 2-0. They went on and took runner-ups in the ISC National Tournament. I have a list of names that, the guys are here, some of them are here today, but I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them guys. They made me playing so much easier. We had a great team, and to this day, I think we probably had one of the best infields in the country. So, in closing, I'd like to thank the Pueblo Greater for this great honor and a night that I won't ever forget. Thank you.
Let's be clear, these introductions, since Mike is the MC, does all these pre-write-ups, so I may sound real elegant and know what I'm doing, but he's actually the guy that wrote these up. But this next person, I am going to ad-lib a little bit because he actually was one of my coaches. Coach Hime, I was one of the last groups out of the junior high group, so we were able to play football, wrestle, play basketball, and run track. And so Coach Hime was my basketball coach. But what I remember most was our PE classes, Coach Pearson and Coach Himes, and playing dodgeball. Man, we had some great dodgeball games back in those days. So Coach Hime just let us cut us loose and let us play as crazy as we wanted to play. So he had some fond memories of your dad. Not only was Dick Hime an excellent athlete and coach for 33 years, he molded young people as a physical education teacher in District 60. Back in 1949 and 50, old-timers baseball was a thing in Pueblo. The chieftain not only printed scores, but ran stories about the games. So it was a big deal that Dick was selected as an all-star twice. At Centennial, Dick starred in baseball, but was a real star under Walt Clay in basketball. The Bulldogs won the South Central League and played in the state tournament. Dick averaged double figures and was selected all-conference. At Pueblo Junior College, Dick played basketball and baseball, coached by Harry Simmons. He played 2 sports under Harry Simmons and one under Walt Clay, pretty much qualified Dick for sainthood, in addition to the Hall of Fame. Those were some tough coaches. The late 50s were the heyday of PJC basketball. They finished 3rd in the nation his junior year and 6th his senior year. At Western State, Dick starred in basketball and then was selected to the all-tournament team at the Knights of Columbus Great Pueblo tournament, when that tournament drew top players from around the state. Dick coached Free Junior High to city titles in football and basketball. Dick Hime. Walt?
Thank you for that introduction. My father would have really enjoyed this night, and 7 years ago, 6 years before he passed, he wrote a sports Bible. Well, he completed it about 7 years ago, and that was really fun for my family to go through and see what he thought about and what he was writing about through those years of playing and coaching and teaching. So I'm going to refer to the sports bio and just basically speak a lot of his words tonight. In that sports bio, he explained how his dad, my grandpa, introduced him to the great world of competitive sports by taking him to high school games and teaching him the basics of the major ball sports. In that bio, it basically documents his journey from an elementary kid who shot, passed, and dribbled any ball he could get his hands on, to an all-conference high school basketball player, to a hard-working backup guard in junior and Division II college. He wrote of successes, but also of trials and disappointments. He was thankful for teammates that turned into good friends. He was thankful for coaches Charlie Weld, Ed Smith, Pat Kingery, Walt Clay, Harry Simmons, and Joe Torpy. When his playing days were over, he was able to fulfill his competitive needs and undying interest for sports by coaching the 9th grade sports at Free, coaching old-timers and playing golf. At the end of his sports bio, he wrote and included the following, and I quote, "As I look back on it all, I realize now that most of my waking moments were occupied by some form of sporting activity. It was all worth it because sports, in addition to being fun, are great teachers of life lessons, dealing with situations that will come up in life which will require perseverance, patience, and old-fashioned grit." Then he included some memorable moments. Playing well against the Philip Oilers AAU basketball team, playing well against Moberly, Missouri in the National Junior College basketball tournament, playing well in the 1961 Greater Pueblo basketball tournament, having a good season pitching in 1950 old-timers baseball, being named to the All-South Central League basketball team in 55, winning city championships as a football and basketball coach in 65 and 71, and sharing this with family members. He included a special thanks to Shirley for putting up with a sports nut and being his golf watching buddy, his mom, Marty, for teaching all the basics needed in life, and for his dad, Ed, for getting him started in all of this. I will close with a message to my dad from the family. Dad, just like you, we keep trying at things that are important to us. You have shared your love for the games and for much more. We have seen and trust that adventures of the heart have eternal implications. We love you and are proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Walt. This next gentleman, we have quite a few ties going all the way back to 9th grade. We wrestled in the city championships on opposite teams. But Cliff is an old East Sider. I'm an East Sider as well. They both lived on the river. I lived on the Joplin side. He lived up on the Bradford side. But we grew up, we were talking the other night, did we actually go to elementary school together? And we were thinking it had to be at Bradford, kindergarten, first, second grade is where we ended up. Of course, Pat, we competed against each other for years. We're good friends, not just through the mat, but just good friends because of wrestling. And of course, their nephew, Travis Medina, has been a long-time assistant of mine. So that family, we're very, very connected. So I'm honored to go ahead and read his bio as well. Cliff was a 1975 graduate of East High School, where he was an outstanding wrestler under the coaching of legendary coach Larry Wagner. But it was as a coach that Cliff earned his way into the GPSA Hall of Fame. His nominating form lists so many accomplishments that we would be here until breakfast to note them all, but we will do our best. Cliff continued his wrestling career at the University of Northern Colorado. He then began to coach at Highlands High School in Denver, but then moved to Idaho Falls, Idaho. His accomplishments there speak for themselves. He was a member of the U.S. Olympic freestyle coaching staff in 1996, coach of the Pan American Championships in 2005, University World Team Coach in 2002, National Team Head Coach in Beijing, China in 2002, Northwest Coach of the Year in 1996-97, Idaho Coach of the Year from 1996, 97, 2000, 2008. He coached state championship teams in 97, 1997, 1998, and 2008. Was selected as Idaho Coach of the Year, any sport in 2000 and 2008, and is a member of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame Idaho chapter. Cliff Laughlin.
Thank you. I want to thank the GPSA committee for inducting me into the Hall of Fame. It's a great honor, and I would like to thank Gary Adamson for nominating me for this honor. I'd like to congratulate the other inductees going into tonight. I'd like to also acknowledge family members and friends at the table that came to support me tonight. A lot of great stories was told a little bit earlier. None of them can be repeated. I live in Idaho, but I am Pueblo built. Growing up in the Lower East Side, our parents instilled in me and my 7 brothers and sisters a strong work ethic and a never quit attitude, and to always be honest. I want to thank my wife Desiree and my 2 daughters, Kelly and Katie, for always being supportive of me throughout my coaching career. I had many great coaches growing up in Pueblo: Pat Gomez, Jim Ross, Joe Garcia, Larry Wagner, and Jack LeBondi was my wrestling coach at the University of Northern Colorado. I have heard it said that people go into education and coaching because they had a mentor along the way that inspired them to follow the same path. Larry Wagner was that mentor for me. Wags taught me the wrestling skills that I was able to pass on to the many high school, collegiate, and world team wrestlers that I have coached over my 35-year-plus career. Also, I want to mention a couple other people that helped me in my coaching career. Tim Vanny, a 2-time Olympian wrestler and a member of 9 world teams, and Joe C., a 6-time NCAA wrestling coach of the year and world and Olympic coach. Mostly my brother Pat, a GPS Hall of Fame inductee and head coach of the defending state wrestling champions, East High Eagles. Pat has always been there at my side. He loves the sport of wrestling as much as I do. And Pat and I always were wrestling in the basement of my parents' house on the cement floor. That's why we both look the way we do. And at times, we didn't really have gyms then and stuff, and we'd go out in the yard and do a lot of pull-ups from the tree branches and stuff, competing with each other. Pat supported my high school wrestling career at East High School and my college wrestling career at the University of Northern Colorado. Mostly, Pat has been there for the frequent phone calls and the conversations on coaching, match strategies, conditionings, and dealings with the ups and downs of the coaching world for over the past many years. Whether I was in Russia, China, Bulgaria, Hungary, Canada, Guatemala, or the U.S. coaching world and Olympic wrestlers, I never forgot where I was from, or the people that taught and helped me get there. You can take people out of Pueblo, but you can't take the Pueblo out of the people.
Well, our next inductee goes by the name of Beach, Marcovecchio. And man, that's a mouthful. But I had never met Beach, and I was getting ready to tee off over there at Desert Hawk, and he's talking to Mike Zaremba. He's got a hat on, so I kind of knew of him from his picture that he didn't have any hair. But anyway, Mike said, "Hey, Beach," and he walks out. I go, "Hey, there's my chance to meet Marcovecchio, meet Beach." And he kind of darted out of there, and I'm like, where's he at? So anyway, I didn't get to meet him that evening, but I got to meet him tonight. So it's pretty cool to have such a cool nickname, and we'll go ahead and get started. A lot of you out there are probably saying, is that a real name? Because of course, those of us who know him for 50 plus years know his real name is simply Beach. Beach is just a 3-sport star until he added golf, at which time he became a 4-sport star. The 3 sports at Roncalli High School were football, basketball, and baseball, which ended up being his best sport. This is saying a lot because he was pretty darn good at the other 2. He was a quarterback his junior year, but graciously moved to running back his senior year. He was 3rd in rushing his senior year in the Southern League, which was no small achievement since he was in the backfield with last year's inductee Tony Tybee. In baseball, he was a member of the state championship Roncalli team, which won the title, and then his highest level by beating Thomas Jefferson. Beach played professional ball for the Cincinnati Reds before returning and becoming one of the city's best golfers. He also coaches football and baseball at Pueblo County while officiating football and basketball, which he still does now. He even coached his daughter Megan to one of the best lady golfers in Pueblo. He is also a member of the Runyon Field Board of Directors. Michael Beach Marcovecchio.
Before I get started, I got a little story to tell. It had to deal with football. And we're working on punt team and punt receiving at County High School. And Snowy says, Beach, we got to put in that other center. Well, no problem, Coach. So I says, Brandon, you're going to be the long snapper on this punting unit. Okay, Coach. So Stoney says, all right, Coach, we're ready to get on with this. I don't have no center. I turned to a couple of the players. I says, where the hell's Brandon at? He says, he's over there, Coach, pointing to the goalpost. He was losing his cookies. And he said, and I go over, like, Brandon, are you all right? And he says, Coach, I'm really nervous. I says, nah, you're not nervous. That's just butterflies. And that's what I have. So after his graduation, I'd see him out there on the St. Charles Mason. He'd honk his horn, roll that window down. Still got the butterflies, Coach. I says, every time I step on the field, or in here right now. So I'd like to thank the GPSA tonight for having me inducted. Congratulations to the other inductees. Congratulations to our 50th year class. There's other things I have to look out for tonight. Dave Steidar, Dave Dudley, Joanna Nuccio, Tony Tybee, Paul Gradishar. These are all guys that submitted a letter on my behalf to be inducted up. Lifelong friends. Ought to be my pallbearers too. I'd like to thank my daughter Megan and Kendra Chase, Megan Storm. They're the ones that kind of spearheaded all this for me. Asking me them questions, well, what did you do? Well, Dudley knows, Nooch knows, Steiny knows. I don't like talking about myself that much. You know, they just tell me, go do this, I go do it. And that's what I did down there at Running Field. And I loved it. I loved it. What else do I have on this list? Guys need to put a light up there. Well, I gotta thank my mom and dad. My mom Marie and my dad Joe. You know, they were great supporters. Not only for me, but for my sister Cindy and Bob Nardini, my brother Dave and his wife Ann Marcovecchio, my sister Tracy and her husband Mike Moravich, and for my little sister Christine and Mike Rodriguez. And Bobby knows my nephew Cole, or Brock and Cole, but anyway, Brock. Without them, the lifelong support that they gave us was unbelievable. If they were still with us, I guarantee you, they would be still at every sporting event any one of their grandkids or great-grandkids was participating in. And they were great parents, great parents. I had several memorable moments in my career or on my path, looking back on it now to get here. In 1970, I played for the American Legion Elks. We represented the state of Colorado in Helena, Montana for a regional baseball tournament. Some of them guys I just mentioned were on that trip. Another memorable moment for me, 1971, Macaulay High School, our last year, we win the state baseball championship. It's outstanding. The winning pitcher, sitting right there, Tony Tybee. One guy that had a great impression on me and Ron Colley, Tano Moselle. I mean, he was awesome, awesome coach. On our last awards assembly there at Ron Colley, you get your awards, your scholar, your academic scholar, so on and so forth. I was an academic. I'm a B student. Played ball like hell, but a B student. But I got called up on that stage and was recognized for earning the most letters in varsity sports at Ron Colley. The other one that I matched, played at PCH, was Dave Govich. And we both earned 9 varsity letters in our careers in high school. So that was a great accomplishment in my life. Back to 1971, I got drafted by the Cincinnati Reds. Departed Pueblo about on my birthday, the 17th of June. Got to Florida, and I thought I was going to die. The humidity was atrocious. I found out I didn't have enough underwear, because when you're in a baseball uniform, just doing the calisthenics, you're soaking wet. And then I learned to use cornstarch, because of course now you got the jock rash. So that was when I sat up there in my locker. So it's things you needed down in Florida when you played athletics. The first year I ended up down there, I ended up with infectious hepatitis. So I got put in the hospital for 30 days. And I did not like that 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock wake up when they was jabbing a needle in me for blood to check my blood. Okay, so anyway, I come back home. I was told back at that time I'd be welcome back for spring training, which I did. 1972, first part of February. Loved loved Florida in February. It was really nice. So anyway, I'm playing third base, and the guy that was in front of me in the organization was Ray Knight. Ray Knight, of course, he's going to be a Hall of Famer for the Cincinnati Reds, but he breaks an ankle sliding into second base. Well, I'm next in line to move up. And what they did, they moved me up to Double-A ball, and then we had a strike. And the Major League team went on strike. They cut the funding to the minor leagues. They said, okay, time to go home. So they sent me back to Pueblo. My dad thought I'd be calling him from Sioux Falls, Iowa. Man, I was calling him from Pueblo Memorial. Yo, come pick me up, Pop. So anyway, that ended that. And then I went on with my career as a railroader. Back in 2003, I won the City Golf Senior Championship. That was a great honor. Got to play alongside a great guy, Rich Reisner. If Rich hadn't three-putted the 18th green, we'd probably still be playing. But anyway, that's how I won that one. The next one, great moment, Coach Folder would love it, because I worked the 2012 5A Boys State Championship basketball game for Chassa. And I'll tell you what, the honor was having part of my family there, not all of them, but a lot of them. And when the private woman, my wife, asked me, what did you feel on that basketball court? I says, you don't feel nothing. You get hit with blast of energy is what happens. On both sides. Bucket made here, you got drilled. Bucket made down at that end, you got drilled. What it does to your senses, though, it sharpens them. It makes you tune into what you're doing. You block out the noise, and you go about what you're supposed to do, call a basketball game. Folks, it's coming to the end here, but I'll tell you, the most memorable day of my life was my wedding day. On April 14th, 2023, my lovely wife and my friend and confidant, best friend and confidant, will be married 50 years. To the GPSA, thank you for having me. I'm totally elated, excited, and totally humbled and honored. Thank you.
Our next inductee will be, her sister will be speaking on the behalf of Marie Mass, Jean Rhodes. Marie began riding horses at the age of 6 and soon after began rounding up cattle. A comment was made that she was born in the saddle. At 12, she began rotoring and was soon competing against and beating the boys. She was a member of the first graduating class of county, where she was queen of the rodeo club. While attending Pueblo Junior College, she was a member of the Intercollegiate Rodeo Club. Later, she was encouraged to compete for Pikes Peak or Bust Rodeo Queen. For those of you who don't know, Rodeo Queen is not like Homecoming Queen. You actually have to participate in rodeo events. She won that title and Miss Rodeo Colorado, and then competed for Miss Rodeo America, which of course she won. She excelled at barrel racing, goat tying, pole bending, and pairs. She was certainly a gift to rodeo and to women participating in this tenacious sport of rodeo. Jane?
Thank you very much. Thank the Greater Pueblo Sports Association. Good evening, everyone, and I wanted to tell you and the college what a wonderful meal we had, didn't we? Yes. Very good. There are some special people I want to name to thank for the honor of my sister Mary being inducted. I want to thank Ron DiDione, Lucille Corsentino, Ruby Kochaver, Jerry Cisneros, John Barker Jr. Without their help and the dedication and the hard work they did, this wouldn't have come about and been possible. Unfortunately, my sister's children could not make it. Maria Jo, we called her Joey. She excelled in English writing and Grand Prix. She went overseas in several Grand Prix, Denmark, Spain, I think she was there, and of course all over the US of A, especially on the East Coast. And she's a Grand Prix rider. Also, her son Wade, he usually done the hard work, like setting up the jumps and so forth. Anyway, wanted to express their congratulations to you folks, because I called them and they said to thank you all, especially the Greater Sports Association. I'll accept this award and plaque with great, great appreciation and humbleness. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. This next gentleman is pretty cool because he's got kind of a tricky name. We always seem to mess it up. We put L-E and then it's capital R, capital L, capital R. And every time you type it in, it goes back to the little R. And every time that happens, he calls you up and says, hey man, it's R with the capital. I go, okay, I'm sorry. But anyway, LeRoy played 3 sports at East High School: football, basketball, and track. In track, he set records in the long jump and 880 that lasted for years. He was the first East athlete to qualify for state in track. After high school, LeRoy played softball for years and played in 3 national tournaments. But his real achievements took place as an official. For a period of 20 years, he officiated high school, junior college, and college basketball games. 8 times he was chosen to officiate the state tournament, including 4 championship games. He was also chosen to officiate the prestigious games between the Chinese Nationals and SCSC. LeRoy officiated football for even longer, 27 years. He was executive secretary of the Public Football Official Study Group for many years. He was chosen to officiate the classification championship games from 8-man to 5A. LeRoy is a member of the Colorado Basketball Officials Hall of Fame and the Colorado Football Officials Hall of Fame. And I think that's another thing. I think he coached even in the 6A, if I could be corrected on that. But at this time, I'd like to introduce LeRoy Snook.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. It's a great honor to be inducted to the PGSA. I want to thank the fellow inductees. Congratulate the fellow inductees. I want to thank Jerry Cisneros and the tournament committee. GPSA committee for this honor. Playing sports brings a lot of, you know what I mean, pride in yourself. It's a learning life, the wins and the losses, and you go on from there. You get better in your life. I also coached kids in the game of sports, and it was an honor to help them get better. There's 2 individuals I'd like to mention that sent in letters of recommendation for me. Pat McGraw and Chuck DePietro. I want to thank them. Refereeing basketball for 30 years. Refereeing for 30 years, basketball and football, college and high school. And many, many places to go, from Oklahoma State to northern Colorado, New Mexico, Las Vegas, New Mexico, Raton, East Colorado, West Colorado, Western Colorado, and all over, and the fellow officials that you go with. Before I mention that, I want to say this honor and plaque is not only for me, it's for my wife. 30 years I was away from the home on a lot of hours officiating, sometimes overnight, but many days. You take a trip to Panhandle State, that's an all day. Leave at 6:30 in the morning, you don't get home till 2 in the morning. And I want to thank her for that, and she supported me all this time. She also filled out the application, worked on it, and turned it in. Thank you very much, Paula. And to everybody that is here, my great friends that have supported me, my family, my children, my great-grandchildren, and I have a great-great-granddaughter here. There's 3 more that are not here. But I want to thank them for their support, and I couldn't be in this spot right now at this moment without everybody, and I want to thank them. Thank you very much. God bless.
The last gentleman, we had put him last because we thought he was going to end up emceeing this evening. But Mike has been involved in athletics all his life as a player, a sportscaster, and an MC. He's been involved in many community events, St. John Newman School, the Advocacy Center as well, to name a couple. He's been the MC since the sudden death of Lee Meisner, or was Lee Douglas, I think, at the time. It goes by we know him as Lee Douglas. So he's MC'd over 10 years, and I know he filled in 1 year, so he's got a total of 11 years doing this banquet. And I will be very happy to turn it back over next year. So I know he's getting ready to be a retiree as a financial planner, so he'll be joining the retirement group of so many of us in this room. At this time, he's a household name in this community, Mike Salardino.
I'm up here with these really honest to God athletes and coaches, and all I ever did was talk about it. I feel like a pair of brown shoes with a tuxedo. The other interesting thing is that they're honoring me for being able to talk, and I show up to receive it with laryngitis. That's just no, I would like to thank Jim Blanc, who nominated me, Vince Beagle, and Frank Verbenza, who wrote letters, and the wonderful members of the committee who decided I belonged up here even though I don't. But that was not the dream when I was a little kid. When I was a little kid, I was going to be a great quarterback. My uncle Frank Nails, who's in the Nevada Sports Hall of Fame, was an all-conference quarterback with the Florence Huskies, and then Pueblo Junior College, played with John Mendoza, and then at Western State, and I was going to do that. And then I went to an Air Force game, and they had a quarterback. It was their very first game in Falcon Stadium, named Terry Isaacson. And Terry Isaacson could run Ben Martin's triple option perfectly. They beat Colorado, they beat Nebraska, and he was only 5'8". I said, I'm going to be Terry Isaacson. I wrote to him, he sent me an autographed picture. It was on my desk, I think, all the way through high school. And that's what I was going to do. But we planned, and God laughs. And the reality of it can be summed up in a quote that Danny's heard all too often by my fabulous football coach, Jack Brookhart, your football coach. And I made the same mental error on 2 plays in a row, and he said very loudly, Salardino, you're small and you're slow. If you can't think, son, we can't use you. When you're small, slow, and can't think, you don't go to the Air Force. I went to school here. I ended up being the all-night disc jockey, and at KDZA, and then the sportscaster, when Frank Provenza decided he didn't want to do it anymore. That led to television, and the first decision I made at KOAA was that they were not covering the Air Force Academy. I said, we've got to cover the Air Force Academy. So I went up there with my press credentials. I got to interview Ben Martin. I was like shaking when I did that. And then I saw this assistant coach, and I said, I got to interview him. So I said, Coach, can I interview you? And he said, who interviews an assistant coach? I said, oh, I don't know, maybe some kid that had your picture on his desk. And it was Terry Isaacson. So I thought, I didn't get to play like him, but I got to interview him anyway. So, and one more note about covering the Air Force. My friend Wayne Hand, who drove all the way here from Albuquerque, one of my lifelong best friends, would cover some of the games with me. And one game we were on the sidelines, because you could be in the press box or the sidelines, and you had to be on the visiting team's sideline. The visiting team was Notre Dame, and no offense, Joe Welty, but Wayne and I were cheering for the Air Force, quietly, because you're not supposed to cheer on the sidelines. And Air Force was going to beat them. They were winning by 17 points going into the fourth quarter, and Air Force Notre Dame put in their second team quarterback. And that second team quarterback led them to 3 touchdowns, and they beat Air Force. And then that second team quarterback did that a few more times. It was a kid named Joe Montana. And so we got to see that and had no clue who Joe Montana was. He was a sophomore at Notre Dame. So anyway, I didn't get to live the life my little kid wanted me to live. I only hope I lived the life that God wanted me to live, and I'm very grateful for it. But I got to tell you, sometimes in the middle of the night when I can't sleep, I still fantasize about running that triple option. Thank you.
There's never a bad night for the GPSA inductions because there's some wonderful stories to be heard. Before I do my closing remarks and end this wonderful evening, please give our inductees for 2022 one last big applause. Hosting and being part of the 50th anniversary has inspired me to even take a bigger interest into our association. What I learned was our founding fathers wanted to provide a platform to recognize Pueblo's rich athletic accomplishments, and after 50 years of service, I feel the GPS members, past and present, has fulfilled that mission. A special thank you to John Barker. This gentleman spent tons of time getting all these things put up for us. He does it year in, year out. He just spent a bunch of time getting our website up and running. Please check that out. Everything is in the program. He also sets the program together before it goes to print. He's added a lot of wonderful things into the program, including our website, including a donation spot for people that want to donate to the GPSA, all the information. And so at this time, he's also the designer of our website. Could you give John Barker, could you please stand up? So in concluding this evening, I want to thank everyone for attending our banquet this evening. Good night and safe travels. We just have one last part is our benediction with Kurt. Thank you.
Sorry you got to hear from me twice after all these great stories, but please bow with me. Thank you, God, for a great celebration for the GPSA and its leadership in 50 years of recognizing 370 athletes, coaches, and supporters of Pueblo's rich sports legacy and the friendships that have been forged over the years through athletics. Please get us all home safely, and we look forward to meeting again next year for our 51st banquet. Amen.
This concludes our banquet. Thanks to everyone for coming, and have a safe travels.